So the first thing that happened was I fired someone for racism in our business back in 2006. And this person went to work for our largest client, and he then fired us. So we lost half our business overnight based on integrity. I thought it was the integrous thing to do. I wanted to be part of the new South Africa. And I did something that my heart told me was the right thing. And we lost half of the business. And it was actually the right thing because it led me towards finding my own purpose. That was the starting point of my last 13 years. But what happened there was super interesting. I mean, if you give, I'm 52 years old now. So I grew up in the old South Africa. I've got an incredible mother. My father, in hindsight, I know what his problem was, but he was an alcoholic. And we grew up in the old South Africa, which means my conditioning was racist. My mother is not a bad person. People around me weren't bad people, but we were conditioned as a bunch of racists. And I think I worked very hard to get out of that conditioning. So the first thing that happened was I fired someone for racism in our business back in 2006. And this person went to work for our largest client, and he then fired us. So we lost half our business overnight based on integrity. I thought it was the integrous thing to do. I wanted to be part of the new South Africa. And I did something that my heart told me was the right thing. And we lost half of the business. And it was actually the right thing because it led me towards finding my own purpose. That was the starting point of my last 13 years. But it also positioned us quite poorly in the next year when we started going into the recession, 2008. Because we were a much smaller business and we didn't have any capital in the business. So when the recession came, it really took a huge knock on our business and we went backwards. We were within 1 month of technical bankruptcy. We ran out of cash. So there were a whole sequence of events that when I look back now was really, it was meant to be, because I wouldn't be where I am today and the person I am. And I think the business would not be the kind of business that it is, which is a purpose-driven business. But the big lessons out of that is the power of purpose for a business in this very challenging time, because that's what's keeping us on point with all the challenges of coronavirus. Most people live their lives from birth to death without finding this gift called purpose. And I think a lot of people might find a religion, which I think is a good. I believe in religion and I believe in God, so I'm not slating religion, but I think we forget that everything is actually within. And I mean, if I even think of the way I used to pray back in the day, I used to look up to the heavens and pray to something far away. But as I discovered my purpose, everything moved into myself, which to me is an indication that we each have that spiritual being, that godliness inside ourselves. It's not easy to discover. And the ikigai, the purpose, the soul within. So purpose doesn't suddenly the magic pill that makes everything easier. In fact, I think it makes it more difficult. But it makes life a lot more fulfilled. So I don't have anxiety because I trust. It doesn't mean I don't get angry now and again, or I lose my cool, or I fight with the person I love most. Those things happen and I learn out of them. But I'm much more conscious of the lessons and I'm much more conscious of the opportunities. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think even COVID-19 is hopefully happening for us to shake us up a bit.
Thank you for watching. Just a quick reminder to grab your gift bag for entrepreneurs in the link below. It's a gift bag for entrepreneurs to the value of 57,000 Rand, free of charge. All you need to do is activate it. Part of that gift bag for entrepreneurs is a voucher of 3 months for 3 months free accounting services from a company, Dryk Holdings. All you need to do is activate the gift bag voucher in the link below and we will be in contact with you as soon as you've done that.
I mean, I know factually that the brain and the head the head that processes at 2000 bits per second, you know, that's what we use for most of our decision making, the ones in business. But the biggest decision in our lives, which probably links to our life partner, we make with the heart. And the heart, the intelligence of the heart is 400 billion bits per second. So it's like 1 gram against 2 tons of power that's untapped because we're not conscious of it. So for me, it took me to lose my business, or our business, mine, Gareth's business back then. It's now a whole bunch of us that's got equity in the business. But back then, it took us to lose our business. It took me to lose my health. It took me to lose my relationship with my wife. It took me to lose pretty much every single thing I worked for my entire life. It took my entire vision to be scattered, to go and search to find the answers within rather than outside of myself. And that happened in 2007. There's the various ways. I mean, you can go and meditate. I've got a friend who meditated for seven days in Tibet and found his purpose. So I'm sure there's hundreds of different ways. I do not think it's something you can do logically. I do not think it's something you can just go, okay, this is my purpose. Yes. Maybe, but I think often it might not be completely the deep truth, because I think it's so in your unconscious. It's so deep down. And if you think what happens from birth to where you find yourself now, the amount of imprints of various aspects of life on each of us from birth to now, it's trillions of moments and well, I wouldn't say trillions. I haven't worked out how many seconds I've been alive. So let's not say trillions, but it's millions. It's definitely millions. Millions of little influences that carve us. And underneath all of that is buried your greater purpose. And I was fortunate enough to go and find a transformational workshop, which I think I was just very ready for. And because I'm very practical and very logical, because those aspects, people think when you're creative, you're all magical, and magic's part of it, but creative people often are into music, and musicians are often into maths. So I'm very mathematical, and it made sense to my reasoning mind, and I discovered my purpose, and it strategically made sense to me, and it profoundly overhauled my entire life. And when I saw the power that it brought to my life, I brought it into our business as a business approach. So I approached my partner and I said to him, I want to try this with a business. He trusted me. And together we've built a business around purpose. And hence I think that's part of our success to date, although I don't think we're anywhere close to where we're going to get to. And in dealing with people in the business, I've realized if you got a good business and you care really about the people that work for you, it still remains a two-way street. You know, it's not about the business giving everything and the person just sits there in the glory of the business, and vice versa. It's always a two-way street. And I think it must be similar with a relationship between the human being and his or her God, or whatever you see as your higher power. I don't think that's just, I think there's a responsibility that we're lacking as people of doing our bit. And because we lack in doing our bit, we do not reap the glory and the rewards, because we don't have the discipline to do our bit to the level that we really can. And I know this because for 38 years of my life, I didn't do my bit. I worked hard and I worked very hard, and I was good at what I do, but it was all about myself. And hence I wasn't doing my bit. And to your point, I think your bit is to give more. And I think purpose is all about service. Purpose is all about service, not service at the cost of yourself, because I think you still need to sustain. You can't serve anyone if you're not sustainable. So it's not at the cost of being sustainable or non-sustainable. But I think your bit is all about service to others, and service to humanity, and service to mankind, and service to every single thing that we can help improve upon in this world, in this lifetime. You know, I think this thing about doing things that unsettles us, and that's uneasy. And that is where growth happens. So I'll just share a little story. I suffered for, I like sharing this. I shared it earlier on today again, because I think it's relevant, because there's a lot of us that suffer of stuff and we don't speak about it because we're embarrassed about it, or we're going to be lesser than, or, oh, I'm not going to be such a great leader if I'm not perfect, and all this nonsense. I suffered for 20 years of my life with severe social phobia. I mean, to a level that I eventually couldn't go out. And when I had to do presentations, I wouldn't be able to sleep. And often I would sweat so much, it would be embarrassing. The only way, there's two things that helped me to overcome my condition. And it's a very deep condition. And I actually know for a fact that my father suffered from the same condition, which is why I was an alcoholic. I know that now for a fact. When I look back, that's the only reason. And it's one of the key reasons I don't drink, because I don't want to medicate a problem like that. I wanted to sort it out. So I started forcing myself to, if someone reached out like you reached out, to attend, or if someone asked me to do a keynote in front of a couple hundred people, I would do it. And slowly but surely, I stepped in where most people would sit out. So, and then that to me is the path you need to do with growth. You know, you need to step into the uncomfort of whatever the situation is. And I've done that in all areas of my life. Even stopping drinking alcohol is quite a thing to step into in our society, because you immediately put yourself outside of the social circles as someone who doesn't drink, especially a male in South Africa. But the learning and the growth, and I mean, a small thing, learning to dance sober, is a fascinating creative experience. Very easy to dance when you have quite a few tequilas in and you think you've got rhythm as a white guy. But I promise you, to learn how to dance as if no one's watching when you're stone cold sober is a beautiful experience towards becoming a child again. Because I was fascinated at the fun that children have, but adults don't have fun. We have to drink to have fun. So just to mimic your point you're making, or to support it, it's the things that are deeply uncomfortable that grow us. And that I love stepping into them. You know, negative talk in our own minds, it limits us. It's interesting. I became aware of how I spoke to myself about 15 years ago. I was shocked. I mean, I would never allow anyone else to speak to me like that. But the way I spoke to myself in my own head, like, you stupid fool, you idiot. And I eradicated that way of speaking to myself because it's so limiting. So I love using limiting and liberating as an approach rather than right or wrong, because often I find the wrong things are actually right. You know, the wrong things actually inspires the right thing. You know, it's that normal thing. You know, is fire bad or good? It inspires new growth. It kills animals and fauna and flora, but it still inspires new growth. So what is it? So I think nature doesn't look at nature, and that's maybe interesting that we don't look at nature enough. You know, we think that businesses must just grow all the time. That's unnatural. You know, there's winters and there's spring and there's summer, seasonal. And we need to find our way to move through that with nature and with the rhythm of nature. I wrote a 25-year plan in 2007 towards 2032. I broke it down into milestones towards what I want to achieve over those 25 years. And I'm currently 13, 14 years into that plan. And every single thing that I put on that original plan in 2007 happened. And I think it happened because I wrote it down and I measured, and I broke it down to annual plan, monthly plan, weekly plans, and daily plans. Very focused during the day. I run my entire day on a diary. And then I've got a couple of rhythm and routines in the evening. But I measure each of these every single day. So I can tell you that last week I achieved 92.7% of every single action that I set out to do in the week. But my first action in the morning is to profess self-love in the mirror. It's something we struggle with as people. We want everyone to love us, but we don't love ourselves. It's very difficult. It sounds easy. Anyone who's listening or watching, go and try and look yourself in the mirror today and say, I love you. You are amazing. And see if you can do that. Because I remember the first time I did it, I blushed. And I realized something's wrong. if I cannot tell myself I love myself, and I had to start fixing that, you know.